Hello yogis, my name is April and welcome to the Yoga Ranger Studio and welcome to your practice. Today's practice is inspired by really opening up through the front side of the legs, the front side of the hips, and a little bit of the outer hips. Really working with this area of the body to both strengthen it, build this big muscle group together like the quads in the front of the hips and the hip flexors, but also make some spacious openings. So opening this space as well. So we want that balance of strength and flexibility here. So in this practice, we're going to be kind of tagging them back and forth, movements that are both strength building and also a little bit of flexibility and opening and spaciousness for your practice. You don't need anything, but if you have tender knees or you want to have some supports around you, you can have a blanket or a towel or a couple of blocks if that will help you in your practice, bringing the floor a little bit closer and providing some cushioning for your knees. So we're going to start in a seated pose, taking our legs out straight in front of us, taking our hands out to the side in little tented fingers, sitting up nice and tall. So I like to kind of settle myself in so that my back is nice and long. Sometimes we'll find ourselves sort of slouching. So toes flex towards your nose. We're gonna have fingers out to the side and we're gonna lift that right leg and we're just gonna bend the knee a little bit, real gentle, tiny little movements. Lucy's not helping by being right in the front of it. And you may feel this already in your quadricep. We're gonna do about 20 of these little tiny movements. Let that leg come down, wiggle it around, flexing, switching sides. Little tiny knee bends and pressing out through the heel. Letting that heel come down, pointing the toes, lifting up that right leg, holding. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, resting it down. Not leaning back. You'll find yourself wanting to lean back a lot. And then lifting that left leg or the other leg. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Let that rest. Wave your toes around and come into child's pose. So we're going to take our child's pose with our knees really close together. So side by side, toes, big toes together, knees side by side, walking the hands out. This may mean that you don't get quite as far to the floor, and that's okay. Giving a nice stretch along the front of the quadriceps, a little compression in the hip flexors, and a long lengthening of the lower back, the upper back, the shoulders. Even though we're focusing on the quadriceps and the hip flexors and the hips, today in our practice, we will also be working with all parts of the body. And then walking your hands in, starting to bring those fingers back behind you, leaning back and lifting your hips up. So really pushing through your fingertips, pushing through your glutes and pressing upwards. A lot of quadriceps here. Stretching a little bit more, maybe leaning back, dropping your head back. One more deep breath. Go ahead and come back down, sitting back on your heels for a couple of breaths. Big stretch through the thighs, maybe just wiggling around a little bit. And then coming on to hands and knees and lifting up to downward facing dog. So taking your feet about hip distance apart, fingers spread, maybe walking your dog out, bending one knee and then the other, finding a little hip movement here. And then bending your knees deeply, looking up at your hands, slowly making your way up to the top of the mat. Once again, feet about hip distance apart, lifting up halfway, hands to shins, lengthening. Exhale, folding. Inhale, sweeping hands all the way up to the top, little back bend. Exhale, hands to heart. Inhale, sweeping up. Exhale, bowing forward. Inhale, hands to shins, lifting up. Exhale, fingertips down. Take that left leg back to the toes, drop the back knee, lift up to Anjaneyasana or low lunge. Lifting up and back. Maybe even taking your left hand to your left foot or your left thigh, Reaching up a little bit further, really opening up through the left hip flexor, pressing through that right knee, maybe even leaning forward a little bit, and rocking back. Bring both hands up again. Exhaling, fingertips down, lift that back knee. Walk that left foot next to the right. Come up halfway, lengthen. Exhale, fold. Step that right leg back. Same thing here. Drop the knee. Hands up, Anjaneyasana, low lunge, reaching up and back. Maybe dropping that right hand behind you to the heel or to the back of the thigh. Lifting up, rocking a little bit forward and a little bit back. Hands back to center. Exhale, hands down. Inhale, lift that back knee. Exhale, step right foot next to left. Come up halfway, lengthen. Exhale, fold. Inhale, sweep all the way up to the top. Exhale, hands to heart. Inhale into chair pose, sitting back into your heels, toes loose and open, wiggling your toes around. Sitting down a little bit deeper. Engaging the core, tucking the belly in just a little bit. We're going to engage that core because we're going to lift up with the right leg. So leaning over to the left a little bit, lift that right leg up, flex toes. Bring your hands to heart center, a little balancing chair here. Feel that heat starting to rise in the left thigh. Take a nice deep inhale. Exhale, take that right leg back onto the toes. Come and do a high lunge. Reach up, tall. And then exhale, hands around behind you. Interlace your fingers, roll the shoulders back, lift the heart. And then exhale, fold forward over that left knee, pressing through the right heel. Maybe you'll feel more heat rising in that left thigh. Inhale, sweep all the way back up. Exhale, hands to heart. We're going to lean back forward and come back to where we started. Leaning forward, slowly lift off. Bring that right knee into the chest. Exhale, drop it down, stand up tall. Shake it out a little bit. Now you know kind of where we're going to go, so it's going to be a little bit easier. Inhale, reach hands up. Exhale, come into chair pose, sweeping hands out, sitting back, engaging the core. This engagement in the core is going to help us maintain that balance and feel really secure. Hands to heart center. Inhale, lean over to the right, begin to lift that left knee off, and maybe it's just the toes touching to the floor. Maybe it's all the way off with a flexed toe all the way to your chest. Find where you can be today, where your body allows you to go. Feel the heat building on the right side. Nice deep inhale, exhale, point the toes, gently start to lift back. Drop that heel down, high lunge on this side, reaching up and back. Nice deep stretch, that left quadricep. And then exhale, hands around behind you. Interlace the fingers, roll the shoulders back. Exhale, fold over that right knee. Hands to the ceiling or as far away from your back as you can get them. Press through that left heel, spread your right toes. Feel the engagement, the warmth. Inhale, sweep all the way up to our high lunge again. Exhale, hands to heart. Here again, leaning forward, shifting our weight ever so slowly onto the very tip of our back left toe, coming back up to where we started, dropping that heel down and relaxing, shaking it out. Feeling that heat, that engagement, and the core is really active here in this pose. So inhaling, reaching up tall, exhaling, folding forward, inhaling, lifting up halfway. Exhale, fingertips down, step that left leg back. Stay here on your fingertips. Start to lift off a little bit. You're going to take that left elbow to the right knee and twist. If this is very unstable for you, you can always drop that back knee down. Listening to whatever cues your body has for you today. Unwinding, fingertips down. Step that left to meet the right. Come up halfway, lengthen. Exhale, fold, switching sides. Step that right leg back. Dropping the knee or not, lifting up a little bit, taking that right elbow onto the left knee and twisting. Exhaling, fingertips down. Bring that right to meet the left. Come up halfway. Exhale, fold. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, fingertips down. Step back into plank. And then bring your right knee over to your right wrist. Walk that left leg back. A little bit of pigeon here. Lengthening up. So I like to flip my toes and press through the toes and lift that back knee off. So the left knee would be lifted off the ground. You feel some engagement in your glutes, in your hip, in the back of your calves and hamstrings, and even in the front of your quadriceps. And then slowly lowering down just a little bit. You're going to reach around with that left hand for your left foot. Now that could be your heel, it could be your pants. You can stay up here and bring that heel as close as you can to your glutes or hips, or you can start to fold down. A little bit more intensity here. Release that leg down. Hands underneath shoulders, shift back into that plank, switching sides. Left knee out, right leg back behind you. Here again, flipping those toes, lifting up the knee, pressing through. You'll feel some of this in your lower back as well. Engaging the whole core system all the way around. Lowering that knee down. Reaching with the right hand for the pant leg or foot or heel or inside of foot. Staying upright or coming down. Each side is different. Maybe this side feels like it needs something else. Exhale, release that foot down. Palms underneath the shoulders, shift back to downward facing dog. On an inhale, bend your knees, start to make your way up to the top of the mat, little tiny steps. Come up halfway, lengthen. Exhale, fold. Inhale, sweep all the way up to the top. And exhale, hands to heart. So keeping your hands at heart center, you're going to inhale, lift that right leg out in front of you, flex toes. Nice straight leg. Remember where we started with those little pulses? We're going to bend the knee a little bit and press through the heel, like we're pressing the gas pedal with our heel. Holding it here. And bending that knee to our chest, we're going to reach for that foot. Now here you have a couple of options. You can take your hand to the outside of the foot or the inside. You can point that knee straight down, or you can begin to take that leg back behind you and come into dancer's pose. A lot of deep stretch for the shoulder and also for that front hip flexor. Think about putting both hip points heading down toward the floor. Exhale, pull that heel into your hip and let it go. Other side, right? Inhale, take that left leg up or the other leg. Flex the toes, bend the knee a little bit, little pulses here, just about 10. So if you're pressing through your heel, engaging, then hold. Then bending that foot, reaching for whatever you can, the pant leg, the foot, the inner leg, the thigh, whatever you can reach here, bending that knee pointing either straight down or starting to stretch it away from you and coming into dancer's pose. A little bit of a tilt forward. Our quads and hip flexors do a lot for us in our balancing poses. Exhale, bring that heel into the hip, drop it down. Inhale, sweep hands up. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, lift halfway. Exhale, fingertips down, step back, bring your knees down, and take your knees a little bit wider apart. And before you lean all the way back, take your thumbs and roll your calf muscles out of the way. Heels separated apart. It's a hot day, so my brain is on heat, right? Start to lean back. Now here, maybe as far as you get, you may find you can come onto elbows or forearms. You may find you can come all the way to the floor. Lucy's gonna help me a little bit here. Everybody needs a 7-pound assistant on their chest. Big stretch for the front of the thighs. And then slowly pressing back up. My assistant won't like that. Swinging those feet all the way around in front of you. Taking that left leg out straight, right knee into your chest. You're going to cross it over to the other side. Take that right hand behind you. Hug that right knee into your chest. Twist. It's going to get you a little bit of an IT band stretch in the outer hip flexors. Unwind, take that leg out straight. Other side, left knee into the chest, cross that foot over to the right side, this time kind of tucking it in. Fingertips behind you on the left side, right hand kind of grasps that left knee and pulls it into you. Flexed right toes, strong leg. Exhale, unwind. Take the legs out in front of you, bounce them around a little bit. Come into a seat, whatever seat makes sense for you, for a little seated shavasana. Lucy's not helping. Sitting up tall, maybe inhaling, sweeping your hands up. Exhaling, bringing the palms down toward the center, grounding your energy. And then resting your hands, palms up on your knees or in your lap. Noticing your breath. And because we've focused on the front of the thighs, the legs, the hips, and the hip flexors, you'll feel your awareness drifting here to these spaces. Where our attention goes, our energy flows. This is an emphasis in this area on the element of earth, so it's very grounding, very helpful for digestion, helps balance the meridians of stomach and spleen. On an exhale, drop your fingertips down to the floor. Inhale, sweep your hands all the way up. Bring your hands down to heart center. Softly bow your head. Thank you so much for joining me for this practice. I hope you enjoyed it and you are stronger and more flexible because of it. Thank you. Have a great week.